Graham Dilley. Squeezed off the bottom of the bat. There's an appeal. He's gone. Well, he thought it came off the bottom of the bat into the ground. Taken at first slip. Botham seemed astounded that Richardson should remain there, and the umpire had to give the decision.
Botham is always very safe, and that's another good breakthrough for England. Richardson out, caught at first slip for 15. The bowling of Graham Dilley, it's 2 for 26. So a great opportunity here for England to put some enormous pressure on Viv Richards.
Off the inside edge. Richards goes without scoring. The West Indies are 3 for 26 and in heaps of trouble.
Well, it doesn't matter whether you're Don Bradman or Viv Richards. If you don't give it the full face of the bat, when the ball's moving around, you will get an inside edge. It was an excellent piece of bowling. Troubled him with the first delivery, and this time Richards playing away from his body. Big edge, a big gap, and he's clean bowled for naught. The West Indies 3 for 26, but a magnificent piece of bowling by Graham Dilley. West Indian captain attacking and missing out.
Oh, and right through him. So Dilley gets his third wicket. Malcolm Marshall is on the way back to the pavilion.
Mike Adding made the change. He took off John Embry and brought back his main striker, Graham Dilley. He bowled a magnificent first spell. He gets through the defence of Malcolm Marshall, close to the stumps. This one coming back from off to leg, got the pad, went straight on to middle and off stump. And the West Indies now 9 for 151. The 45th over.
Joe Gonner's the new batsman out there.
Great outswinger there, and the bird walks. He didn't even bother to wait for Mel Johnson to signal Graham Dilley's 4th wicket of the innings.
Beautiful piece of outswing fast bowling. You've got the batsman forward, it hits the pitch and away it goes, just gets the thickest edge. Jack Richards does the rest, and 4 wickets for Graham Dilley, 8.3 overs, 4 for 23. His best ever performance by Graham Dilley. So after 46 overs, the West Indies bowled out for 154.
So England take $3,000 from this match. The West Indies take $1,500 for losing. Graham Dilley has been awarded the player of the match, and he gets $500 for that.
Dean Jones, man on fire. 3 centuries since January 1, 1987. He'd be feeling pretty good about the game of cricket.
Sliced away, Botham after it, but he won't get to it. 4 runs.
Both would have to be Jesse Owens to get to that one.
It's safe. Lamb racing around, won't get to that. There's a deep point, so good shot from Marsh. His first boundary in the 24th over. Looking to continue to bowl his 7th over. Well struck, going down over the fence for 6. Beautifully struck, Dean Jones, over long on, but on the up, timed it to perfection.
Embry has had 3 overs. They cost him 16. He's now on at the Vulture Street end. That's a huge hit, way over the boundary, and almost cleaned up our cameraman there at mid-wicket.
Here he is now, certainly the new star, and Jeff Marsh is not too far behind him. Clips that away for 4, and this is a tremendous partnership between these two as Australia move on to 1 for 189. Dean Jones within yet another century to follow his 2 in the Perth Challenge earlier this month and his big one in the Test match at Sydney last week. Just 1 run needed. He's 99. And that's it. Dean Jones, 100.
We're not out of January yet, and Jones has made 400s in 1987.
And he's bowled him around his legs. Well, it's hit the stumps, and he's gone. Had to wait there for the confirmation of the square leg umpire. Somewhat anticlimactic end to the innings. Bowled around his legs for 101. Standing ovation, well deserved.
Graham Dilley is about to start his 9th over. He's coming from the Vulture Street end. Geoffrey Marsh is on 89. He's got that one beautifully. One bounce and it crashes into the, well, it clears the advertising board and goes straight into the crowd. That's very close. Yes, Mel Johnson agrees, and Marsh is out, just 7 runs short of his century.
Yes, well, he really had to keep going with this onslaught, and he'll get a big ovation from the crowd here because he's played pretty well. He was a little slow in the initial stages, but he really did help Dean Jones put together what was a tremendous partnership, and they've got Australia now to 234. So Marsh out LBW off the bowling of Dilley. This is how it happened. The ball pitched just outside off stump and probably would have hit middle. He was back on the crease, and it was for that reason that he was given out LBW. 3-4, 234.
Bill Athy's taking strike. Oh, and a good shot. First one he's timed. The first one really McClay has put right up into the slot for him. In the air, but quite safe, and it now goes on to none for 32.
Ken McClay is going to probably bowl his overs out here. He's hit that one right into the gap, and that'll go to the boundary. Well, Athy definitely beginning to cut loose now. That's 3 boundaries in quick succession.
Change in the bowling. Stephen Waugh comes on.
Beautiful shot.
Yes, that's the straightest of straight drives. Races away for 4. England 1 for 58.
Greg Matthews has now been called to the crease. Nicely placed late cut. Ken McClay won't get to it. So a handy boundary there for Bill Athy. England 2 for 79 after 22.
Simon O'Donnell coming back on to replace Steve Waugh.
It's a slower ball. It's in the air. Oh, and just tips the fingers. The ball has gone away down to the boundary for 4. And if that one had have stuck, Ken McClay would have been very happy. Just out of his reach it was.
65 runs from 40 balls. Athy being tied down a bit. Bruce Reid is going to continue from the Vulture Street end. And that could be his 100. 100 to Bill Athy, his 2nd in international one-dayers. And that could be out Simon O'Donnell. And he's grabbed it. So once again, Bruce Reid strikes with a full toss.
Yes, it's all the go. The full tosses out here at the Gabba today. Well, Athy strolling back to the pavilion now. He's made 111. He's been there since the start of play. He's been on the ground since play started this morning during the Aussie innings, he would be absolutely exhausted. This is how he was out, the full toss, trying to heave it over mid-on there. He succeeded in getting it on the splice. It went straight up, and Simon O'Donnell taking a pretty straightforward catch. So Athy out for 111, and England 8 for 225.
The final card, 9 for 250, needing 262 to win. And the Benson Hedges World Series Cup points table shows Australia on 2 points, England on 2, and the West Indies yet to get a point.
England 7 for 216. They need 18 runs off 6 balls to be bowled. So Bruce Reid to Alan Lamb. Smash that. Coming back for the second. The throw's wide of Bruce Reid. 2 runs. Hesitation by the batsman. Wild throw by the fieldsman, Botham.
Freitas hesitated at the turn. Stops there, not sure about it. Good throw it wasn't.
That's 4. That makes it interesting. Lamb's first boundary of 99 deliveries faced, and what a time to hit a 4.
12 runs off 4 balls.
Bruce Reid. Swung that at 6. Is it? That's a big hit. It's somewhere over there. I can't see it. It's gone. It's gone for 6. A magnificent hit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What a hit of Bruce Reid over long on. Lamb gave himself some room. He smashed it. The ball went high into the sky, and away it went. 2 boundaries for Lamb, a 4 and 6 just at the right time.
6 off 3 balls.
Australia need a wicket. Smash. Wellham Fields, just the single. There's the throw, they're going through. It's an overthrow. What a time for an overthrow. There's another one. Oh dear, just at the wrong time, the wheels falling off, a little bit of panic. This game's far from over, but Lamb, the man in a crisis.
The worst thing it's done for Australia is it's got Alan Lamb back on strike. Bad throw from Dirk Wellham. And it got away from Bruce Reid. It skidded off. Reid really should have saved that. He should have had everything behind it. But now it's brought Alan Lamb on strike. Lamb is just querying something with the umpire. I think he probably wants to make sure how many balls to come. I would think that that's the thing that he wants to know. There are 2 to come, Alan, and England want 4 for victory.
The big danger is down fine leg. There's nobody down fine leg. A nick over the top of the keeper. In comes Bruce Reid. There it goes, it's in the gap, it's going over towards the boundary, it's 4 runs, and Lamb pulls off a miraculous victory. What a performance by Alan Lamb. He struggled for 99 deliveries. He hit a 4, a 6, a 2 and a 4, and the crowd has gone wild, and all of a sudden, out of the blue comes Alan Lamb, and away goes 2 points for Australia. A victory that was never on with 2 overs to be bowled.
Those 2 points have taken England along now to 4 in the Benson Hedges World Series Cup table. Man of the match was Alan Lamb, and I don't think anyone will criticise that. What a great performance, what immaculate timing. The toss was won by Vivian Richards, and England were put into bat. We were estimating that England would be fairly satisfied with something around about 230. In the end, they did wonderfully well. I reckon they'll be very pleased with that. 6 for 252. So the asking rate is 5.06 per over. I think we're going to have a very good contest, and certainly this is no walkover for the West Indians.
So England using Philip de Freitas as the opening bowler, as they've done in the World Series Cup so far. Big appeal, he's gone, so that's a wicket for England with the second ball of the second over, and Gordon Greenidge rather reluctant to leave. but he's gone, and that's a decisive breakthrough for England.
By comparison, England had an opening stand of 121, so what a great break.
And that's in the air and will be out. Difficult delivery. Richardson goes caught by Lamb off the shoulder of the bat, and the West Indies in further trouble at 2 for 15.
It was a shocker, a nasty one, rearing off just short of a length, not super short, but side on. He was in good position, couldn't drop his wrists in time, and the ball deflects off the handle, and the glove just ballooned out to a region in the point area. Richardson is out for 3. He'd been there 20 balls. West Indies 2 for 15.
Aston Small has been brought into the attack. The ball in, off the pads, down goes the off stump. And so Gladstone Small has struck for England. Well, they'll be a very disappointed Desmond Haynes. He's worked hard for not very many runs, and he really was required to kick on.
And Ian Botham in his 5th over. Well, that's a typical Viv Richards 6. We haven't seen that shot all summer from Viv Richards. He's had now 5 or 6 innings in the Perth Challenge and here, and that's really the first time we've seen him back away and lift the ball over extra cover for 6. A shot which he's patented. That's down the ground, back goes Broad for it and takes it. That's a crucial catch.
That really was a very good catch by Chris Broad. He judged it beautifully. Richards hit it extremely well. It was only a few metres inside the boundary when it was eventually taken, so he had to cover some territory, kept his eyes on the ball all the way, and that is a Shell Ultra Classic catch. Well taken by Chris Broad. So a terrific wicket for England. West Indies 4 for 92. Embry 2 lots of 3 so far in this series.
Up to 33 overs, that's the comparison.
In the air and held. Well, Duchamp was after the boundaries, but he had vast open spaces into which he could go. Instead of that, he went straight down the ground and straight to Graham Dilley.
The easiest of catches taken by Graham Dilley. So, oh my, it certainly is a case of oh my. The West Indies 5 for 136. Jeff Dujon 25 in 32 balls.
That's in the air, it's high, and this could be out. The ball's coming down now. It's got him. That's very nicely caught down there by Dilley again. That ball went a long way up, and Dilley coming in and making no mistake at all with that catch.
Roger Harper can hit him a long way, but not long enough there. He got too much height onto that. And so 6 for 141, and the West Indies in real trouble. Malcolm Marshall comes in, knowing that the situation demands something quite extraordinary from him now. Good catch by Athey in at mid-wicket. He's taken so many there in this tournament already. You don't expect them to drop them. It was low, it was to his right. Down he went and came up with it.
So Malcolm Marshall out for 3 in just 6 deliveries, and the West Indies have really slumped now to 7 for 150.
It's in the air. De Freitas comes around. 2 fielders onto it. They're hugging each other, and in the end, De Freitas takes it. So Garner is out. In the end, they can smile, but if they collided and that ball had gone onto the ground, there would have been skulls instead.
Yes, I reckon Lamb's going deaf. He had nearly got run out the other day, but have a look at this. It's a sort of bouncer, really. Up she goes. Lamb decides to come in, so does De Freitas. They get caught up together, but De Freitas ends up catching the ball, and Have a look at Lamb saying, I couldn't hear you say anything. Ghana has made a duck. 8 for 150.
And here is Logie, who has played so well for his 43. Barely the one West Indies batsman who has been in consistent form so far in Australia. So they decide to go with Dilly. Taken by Gar in that mid-wicket slot once more. And Gus Logie's innings ends out for 43. Forces it away on the onside, and that very vital position at mid-wicket yields another catch, this time by Gower, and yields another scratch as well. 9 for 157. So De Freitas comes back into the attack. And that's the result now. All over, the West Indies have been beaten by 89 runs for the third time in one-day internationals this season by England. They lost in the Perth Challenge, they lost in Brisbane, and now they've lost in Adelaide. England with a deserving and comfortable victory.
Top score there, 43 for Gus Logie, matched by Vivian Richards. I thought Richards was on his way to a big score, but it wasn't to be. That brilliant catch by Broad at long on sealed his fate. 3 for 15 for De Freitas, and Embury, his best bowling figures in one-day internationals, 10 overs, no maiden, 4 for 37. The man of the match was Chris Broad for his 55, made in 96 balls. The opening stand between Broad and Athey, 121. England have 6 points from 4 games. They've played 1 extra compared with Australia and West Indies, but Australia's run rate considerably higher than the Caribbean side. Philip De Freitas now to Marsh.
And brilliant take there in the gully. John Embry is the man in the gully. Marsh hit that pretty well, and what's more, he was hitting it to ground. Embry dived to his right and pulled off a blinder.
That was unbelievable. Shell Ultra Classic catch. This will be, have a look at it. He smashed it right off the meat of the bat. Full length was Embry, and he caught that in the end of his fingers. Well, he wouldn't have caught many better catches than that one, and Lamb agrees. What a catch. Bad luck to Marsh, trying to push the right there a bit, and that certainly was brilliantly caught. So Marsh out for 8. Australia have lost their first wicket with their score on 21.
And edged there by Dirk Wellham, exactly as he did yesterday off the bowling of Malcolm Marshall, and De Freitas has picked up 2 wickets in the over.
Yes, well, that may be the end of Wellham. It wasn't a very good shot. Have a look at this. Way outside off stump. A big nick, and that was not a very good delivery. And Wellham on his way back. So Wellham now in the pavilion. The score is 2 for 24. And Australia are just in a little bit of trouble.
Now De Freitas, who's got both wickets so far, Marsh for 8 and Wellham for 9, in the same over, on the way to Jones. And that's the 3rd wicket gone, the 3rd for De Freitas, big edge. So De Freitas is really causing havoc in the Australian innings here. Dean Jones goes, it's 3 for 37. No wonder the Union Jacks are waving.
They certainly are. Philip De Freitas, the giant killer here at Adelaide Oval. The 2 openers back in the pavilion because of his bowling, and now Dean Jones out for 8. Australia 3 for 37 in the 12th over. Backs to the wall again. The gritty little Australian captain's out there with a lot of work to do.
So Graham Dilly in his 7th over now. Lovely shot. He was in position so early for that and hammered it.
Madsen Small is going to come on, Now, Stephen Waugh has a big job to do out there today.
That's a shot of confidence, that one, for a guy who's been shackled. Here on the up, over cover. Big roar from the crowd. And it's Botham to bowl. His second over.
Beautifully timed there by Stephen Waugh. Boundary to him.
Lifted it over the head of the infield. That man was stationed in the field restricting area. Long chase here for Broad. He just holds it back, but they'll run all four nevertheless. So 6 runs coming from the over, 3 for 109. In the 37th over, Australia will be looking not only to go on over 200, but perhaps even more than that. And with shots like that, they can do it. Brings up the 100 partnership between these two. What a fine partnership it has been. Had to overcome some very troubled waters early on. Now they're coming into rather smoother conditions, and that is a superb shot by Waugh.
John Embry, nicely played by Border on the offside. Lamb is doing his bit down there. And, oh, that's not bad effort by him. Is it Lamb? Yes, it is. Trying to pull it back with his foot. In fact, that's Botham down there. He's not a bad soccer player, but wasn't able to drag that one out of the little ditch. Good shot. It's in the air, and that probably will go for 6. If it does, there'll be a big roar. It does. Well, that's a good shot from Alan Border. He's been struggling with that sweep shot to Embry, but he latched onto that one.
2 deliveries from John Embry, and that's 10.
And it's going to be De Freitas, who has 3 for 18. I won't believe that he can improve on those. He's got onto that one. It's going down. He's going to be out. He's caught. That one off the edge, went high in the air down towards Chris Broad, and there's no way that he could drop that. Pretty straightforward catch, which was made. But a good contribution by Alan Border. He came in when Australia were in all sorts of trouble, and he has guided his side to a position where now they have a reasonably respectable total.
It's 91 to Alan Border, and disappointing not to get his century, but it's nice to see a player in the 90s playing for his team.
Yes, a good innings by Border.
It's going to be Graham Dilley to bowl. His 10th and final over. Stephen Waugh. It's in the air. That man out there, Chris Broad, is not going to get to it. Falls safely. Big hit. Well, that's what the doctor ordered. The man's there. He was on the long hit. Stephen Waugh went a fraction wide. Australia 6 for 225 after 50 overs. Stephen Waugh not out 83.
Just 33 runs short England, 192 all out in 48.1 overs. It was a good win from the Australians. Now the points table, England still with 6 points, and the West Indies and Australia each with 4. Australia have the best run rate, and that could be of some assistance later on as this lot of preliminary matches come to an end. Now in comes the executioner.
Foster is into the side in place of